everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Daily Wisdom Words podcast, where every week we talk to folks who have stories, advice, and life hacks, all of which take you one step closer to that feeling of hope. I'm your co-host, Neil Charevi.
And I'm your co-host, Ramsey Day.
We are so honored to have back with us best-selling author, fellow podcaster, and strategic life coach, Sarah K. Ramsey. Hey, Sarah, welcome back to our show.
Hi, Sarah.
So excited to be here. I was
so...
you guys really doing a duet. I was like, let's make it a trio. Like, I'll just introduce myself.
Anytime. We want you on, girl. You can help us ask those questions. You have a podcast.
I do,
right?
Yeah. The Toxic Person Proof podcast. It just got ranked as a 1.5% globally podcast. It's just done really well, and
congratulations.
And can I add to that?
Could you toss a little bit of that, luck to us?
So I was going to say, and I was going to say this, and I definitely want this on air, and I don't want it cut because you don't know this, Sarah. Rini knows this, obviously, but you have been such an inspiration to both of us, even as a podcaster, because when we first had you on, we were still kind of finding our footing and, navigating this thing of podcasting. And Rini knows this
we
so
don't
many
do
times.
It right.
Yeah, we still don't get it right, but we try. We've gotten a little better. So, but after you came on and I started following you and, studying everything that you're doing, and of course I've read the Toxic Person book as well, but Rini would ask me so many times, where did you get this idea for this topic or this guest or, and I'd say, oh, I heard it. Sarah did something similar on her podcast. And how many times, Rini, have I told you that? So guest ideas, topic ideas, we
100.
owe you such a large, debt or something for that.
Well,
so you have been a huge
You probably owe my mother. You know how most parents say, hey, don't talk to strangers, stranger danger. Well, you can know from my first book, Becoming Toxic Person Proof, I had none of the stranger danger or anyone, which, resulted in some very bad life circumstances. But as far as conversations and podcasting, it was funny because my mom literally was like, this is how you talk to strangers. This is how you talk to strangers. And so it's so funny. When I didn't know what I was doing or study the podcast at all, I was just I just talk to people. That's it, right?
Yeah.
And this art form that really my mother had taught me. My dad was a pastor. Or is a pastor. And so a lot of these conversations were happening at funerals and hospitals and all these really awkward conversations that kids are not in, really prepared me in a really unique way of this work of being a life coach and, people's hard things. It's just oh, yeah, that's nothing, right? I've covered that before. Or the conversation. So it ended up being a real gift.
Remember, your episode was one of our higher rated episodes last time. And so it was I remember even talking.
Gorgeous.
Well, yeah. Yeah, and very engaging. And of course, it's a transition. Yeah, definitely. And it's so funny. Back then, we just said it without really putting any thought into it. Is at the end of that episode, you mentioned, oh, I'm working on a new book that's a little bit of a departure from what I'm doing now. And we even said, well, will you come back on when it's finished? And you're like, yeah, of course. But we just said that not knowing when it's going to be. It could be years from now. And when you finally announce it's for pre-order and it's ready, we're like, yes, this is it. Here we are. So full circle, right?
So happy.
We must have talked a dozen times about,
about having you back on. Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
So yeah,
it's so much better than my first one. It really is. And it's so my first one, it was just all this years of research, right? And my second one is research in a different way. It's my research of language. And in my own life, when I was going through a divorce, I was super people pleaser, right? And I started to realize the way I made decisions was almost having this mental permission note. Will you sign off on my decision? Will you sign off on my decision? Will you sign off on my decision? And I was like, that was a really bad life strategy, right? Like, how do you make decisions? How do people won't get mad at me? It's when you say it out loud, that's a terrible life strategy, but it's a life strategy a lot of people are unconsciously living. Like, oh, I don't want to make my boss mad.
Right.
Ooh, I don't want to make my coworker mad. Ooh, I don't want to make my spouse mad. Ooh, I don't want to make my mom mad. Ooh, whatever it is, right? And so I started working in the toxic person-proof space. A lot of people were making decisions like that, and I was like, this ain't working. Like, this is not good, right? In my own life, when I was signing off on those permission notes, I ended up pushing off decision, as so many people do, and ended up blacking out while driving. I was completely sober. I was like, no drugs, no anything, no prescription drugs, nothing. It was just stress. And my hair was falling out. I was losing weight, gaining weight, not digesting my food, just so depressed and just thinking, this is going well. I'll just wait till tomorrow to make a decision, right? And my body was like, no, we're not gonna wait. Like we're shutting down.
It was telling you something.
Oh my word! And that was my
oh my word.
I was in an intersection in Charlotte, North Carolina, right? I mean, people are on sidewalks, right? Like, it was a busy intersection. Like, people are on sidewalks. I started to turn left and then didn't turn left. Like, into oncoming traffic. My friend is like grabbing the wheel, like shaking me. I mean, it was, I just looked back and I'm like, man, it could have been a 3 or 4 year old just going across. I mean, how many times have my own kids done that? Like, you just, like, the light turns green and you go. You don't expect a car to not turn left, right, on that intersection. And so that was really my wake-up call that I personally needed a framework for making decisions, which has then developed into this new venture.
Yeah, let's get into that. Like, that was actually going to be the question of, tell us that driving story, because I've heard you talk about it in a couple of interviews, but so how did this journey of actually writing the book and, conceptualizing it and thinking, okay, this is what I want to do, or I want to write this book. How did that all begin? And tell us about some of the hurdles, because I know there were quite a few roadblocks and things that, I'm sure must have been very difficult to deal with.
I keep saying this book is trying to kill me. Like, I have to get it out in the world because it is just like trying to kill me, not like literally not putting it out in the world. And I feel a bit like I have the cure for cancer within this book. It's not a medical book. It's about problem solving and decision making. But when I would see my clients and they would like, I don't know what to do about this. I don't know what to do about this. I'm nervous about this. What I call spaghetti thinking, right? So it's like all over the place. Their thinking is just like, maybe I'll do this, and maybe I'll do that. And it's this structure and this framework for like, okay, what problem are you really trying to solve? What do you really want here? And I'll go into an example later on that. But, it was just such and my cousin and my aunt in the last 2 years of COVID both had double mastectomies within cancer. So saying I have the cure for cancer, I'm not minimizing cancer in any way. I'm saying this will make your life so much easier and better. You should do this, right? My cousin is my first friend, my first memory. She's a year older than me, right? So and she's a year older than me. It's a first major health impact, within it changes everything, kind of shapes everything. It was very scary. And within this book, it's not a cure for cancer, but as a life strategist, I talk all the time with my clients. I take their lives as seriously as if I was holding a scalpel, right? And okay, this is the problem. You're trying to reestablish this relationship with your child. You're trying to decide if you're going to change jobs. You're trying to decide if you're going to get a divorce. You're trying to decide a legal strategy, right? These are big things, right? They are things to be taken seriously. They're decisions to be taken seriously. And I just saw a lot of people in spaghetti thinking, well, maybe I'll do this and maybe I'll do this. But if I do this, my mom's going to be mad. If I do this, then that's going to cost me $30 extra on Thursday for childcare. And I'm going to do this. And it's like, whoa. No wonder you're stuck. Like, no wonder you're stuck, right? So it became that important to put out there. But golly, So my husband changed jobs. I'll tell you just the stuff with my husband. My husband changed jobs. He got diagnosed with skin cancer. He had salmonella.
Oh.
Wow. On top of this, he's okay now too. But just some
Thank
things.
God. Thank God. Thank God. That's 3.
Yeah.
You're done. That's 3. 2 aunts, husband. That's 3. No more. Okay.
No more.
No more.
So I lost my sight a couple times. Like I would have all these weird things happening, like a swollen eyeball, and then I fell down the stairs, and I my wrist was like numb or something. I don't know. I mean, I had to go to this weird like body work person. Kept testing negative for COVID. I don't know what else can wipe you out for a month like that. My husband had salmonella. I had salmonella. I actually had someone try to take my first book, Becoming Toxic Person Proof, off Amazon because they said it was a trademark issue. There wasn't. I knew I had paid a trademark lawyer a lot of money to make sure this wasn't going to happen. But it just kept being like, are you serious? Like, are you serious? Like, is it
the sweetest person in the world.
Right. I mean, I was just like, okay. So you don't want to obviously I'm a pretty positive person. So you don't want to wake up and start going like, well, how, what horrible thing is going to happen to me today? But then it was just kind of laughable. Like, you're just like, what's happening, right?
Yeah. And you're human, by the way, right? I think that's important. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think it's important to point out that even the most positive people, life coaches or counselor, whoever, they're all still human, and you're still human, right? And so it's, even if no matter how it is going to get to you when that many roadblocks and that many issues come, right? It is going to affect everyone. It does that too, right? Nobody is immune from letting it get to you.
Well, I was not immune. I thought when you said, I'm sorry to interrupt you, I thought you were going to say, I'm sorry to inform you that you're a human. And I was like, preach, Neil. You just keep,
Well, Neil's not human. He's a battery operated, but.
That's right. But it does give me an opportunity, because we all know these like influencers and authors and all this stuff, and they're like putting out something like a marriage book, and then you find out they filed for divorce or something just like terribly like inauthentic, and so it has been a process of kind of saying some of this stuff out loud, because my PR person, she actually said, well, Sarah, you get so much done and you accomplish so much, and you're cute and all this kind of stuff, like people aren't going to be able to relate to you anymore. And I'm like, do you have any idea what's happening in my life? What do you relate to me? I mean, kind of this process of like, when I was talking about my divorce earlier, what I didn't say is I was a pastor's daughter married to my student pastor's brother, right? So you smell, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then in that religious community, it was like, well, God hates divorce. So if you get a divorce, you're going to go to hell, and so are your children. And it's like, when I was in spaghetti thinking, right? So as an example from my book about spaghetti thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to hurt my reputation. I'm going to hurt my dad's reputation. I'm going to go to hell. How are my kids going to be okay? Where am I going to live? What lawyer am I going to use? How many people are going to be mad at me about this? Are they going to be okay with my decision? Am I okay with my decision? Right? Like, that's spaghetti thinking. And it's like, all these problems are jumbled up together like spaghetti, right? So I developed this process out of my own sheer desperation, may I say it that way, like learning to waffle down my problem, right? So each noodle, where am I going to live? That is one waffle square. That's one bite-sized problem I can figure out. What am I going to say to people in regards to making this decision? That's a communication problem. That's another waffle square. How am I going to support myself? I worked for the church at the time too, so I lost my job, right? So I didn't have a job. I wasn't going to get child support, right? And it's like, okay, we'll figure it out. Off we go. But that was, where am I going to live? Which lawyer am I going to use? But that process of learning how to waffle it down, right? And like, okay, this is a communication problem. This is a legal problem. This is an emotional problem, right? Me still wanting everybody to be okay with my decision. That was an emotional problem, right? A parenting problem. You know, it's learning that process of breaking apart those problems really is what I think is the ultimate superpower, because whatever life throws at you, it's kind of like, okay, let's break this down into little mini chunks so it's not so overwhelming. What of that is learning processes of like stress releasing, so it doesn't, what I call my book, like problem stack, right? So it's like, okay, there was traffic on the interstate and the school bus was late and I had to get milk for groceries and my son's soccer practice ran over, right? Like you start to problem stack and stress.
How much of problem solving is changing the mindset rather than practice? Because you mentioned stuff like traffic or bad weather. There's nothing we can do about that, right? Tangibly, physically, we can't change that. So it all goes back to the mindset, right? Is that the heart of this conversation in your book and everything, that realizing to rethink what is happening to us?
Mm-hmm. So yes, there's actually, I talk about gravity problems, right? Like traffic, the weather, other people's personality, the past, right? Like we can get real, say there's an issue at work, right? I'm so mad that, you know, that project went over budget, right? And now we owe that. Well, I'll tell you this. Okay, so we were paying for a deck. So we paid money for materials. Like we had this whole contract with a deck builder. Okay, this poor deck man building, this poor building company. One person died, like from COVID, because our deck project has been for like a month. Kind of like, what's going on? We're supposed to have a deck in April and now it's September, we don't have a deck, right? So one person died. Then they came back to our house a couple of days ago, and apparently the other person who was in charge of building the deck, they had two people in this process, he gave them the material money to go buy the materials, and the man ran off with the money.
Wow.
Oh, Sarah.
Okay. Right?
Yeah.
The problem we have is that, like, we don't have a deck 6 months later. No, we didn't have the money. Like, the company lost their money. We didn't lose our money, you know, but, you know, we in this process, I was hoping to have a book launch party on my back porch, because is this really not? No, we got nothing except for weeds. We got weeds back here because they dug up all these footers and dug up our lawn to build this deck, and then this man ran off with the money. But, you know, say you're that business owner, right? We've all had those moments in our business, right? So it's like, say you're that business owner and it's like gravity problems. This man died, the other man ran off with the money, okay? You could spend an enormous amount of energy abstract thinking about that. I can't believe this happened. I'm so mad. This isn't fair. How dare they do this, right? You know, God hates me. Whatever else goes on in our head, that it's a lot of movement and energy, but it's not a lot of momentum. And the goal is to get into actionable thinking. Okay? Complaining, that rolling around, that this isn't fair, the fighting with the past, fighting with, you know, a gravity problem. We cannot out jump gravity. We can't. It always, gravity always, right? So focusing a lot of energy on things we can't do anything about, such as the past, right? Maybe this business owner thinks, okay, I need a different process for background checks before I hire. Maybe an actionable, that's one waffle square. And another actionable process would be, okay, you know, I really need to find a new worker. Okay, I need to hire someone else to fulfill this contract. Okay, I need to talk to these homeowners and explain the situation and see if they'll give me grace. And we did, yeah, obviously, you know. But, you know, as a business owner, we make those decisions all the time. Like, bad things happen. And we're churn in our head, or we can create momentum. We can get into solution-based thinking as quickly as possible. And that's where I see so many people stuck. And, you know, I love therapists. I love therapy. And sometimes it can become a stuck process of just circle. This isn't fair. And this isn't right. And this isn't fair. And this isn't right. And hopefully, you know, a good therapist is not going to allow that to happen. But we've all seen people, and it's like, man, you've been complaining about the same problem for the last 8 years. That's a terrible life strategy. You know, it's not a good life strategy. And I heard a story yesterday about a young girl who was, I'm really kind of bashing like Christian counseling right now, and I don't necessarily mean to. But
no, we get it. We get it.
Yeah.
There was a young girl, and she had been hurting herself, and her parents didn't notice. Middle school, okay. So the parents did notice. What problem am I trying to solve? I don't want to deal with this, so I'm gonna put the blinders on, right? I'm gonna Scarlett O'Hara. I'll think about it tomorrow. Right? Remember when that life strategy almost killed me, right? So this kid, adopted this life strategy. I'm thinking that's what happened. I don't know how you could possibly miss your middle school child cutting themselves, or the changes of personality that would come with that, and not see it, and truly not see it. So I'm assuming it has to be denial of some type, right? And so then fast forward years later, the daughter's 18, she's crying, she's really angry at her parents for not having seen this, and she's in biblical counseling right now, or some type of counseling, Christian counseling, and the whole strategy is, let's give the child Bible verses on forgiveness so the child forgives the parents. So I got all kinds of opinions about that, but focusing on the strategy behind it. And I said, when I'm coaching people through this process, there's one answer that's always right, okay? Which is, hey, if you've been trying the same thing over and over again and it's not working, you should try something else.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. That's why they call it the definition of insanity.
Yes, but you have to be reminded of it, right? We all have to be reminded of it. It's like, okay, Sarah, I have a slight Nutella obsession, and I can't have Nutella. It's the reason I was like 200 pounds with both babies. Like, I had so much Nutella, and it was so good. I was so happy with it. I was so happy with that decision, but it's not a good life strategy. I have a lot of diabetes in my family. Daily Nutella is not a good life strategy, okay? So if every time I have Nutella in the cabinet at eye level, and I get those 2 or 3 o'clock sugar cravings, right? And I know every single day that I see that Nutella right there and then I eat it, that's like, we have to think, okay, maybe I need to move the Nutella or stop buying the Nutella.
Yeah.
Or hide the Nutella in the back of the pantry instead of the front of the pantry, right? Or just have my husband hide the Nutella, whatever it is. It can be about serious things. It can be about little things. But if we keep doing the same thing over and over again and hoping to get different results as a coaching strategy, that's always one of my go-to answers. It's like, some things I really have to think, okay, I need some more details. I need some more information. I want to be really careful about this. And then some things it's like, if the strategy of telling this girl, this 18-year-old, that she should forgive her parents in the form of Bible verses over and over again, if that's not working, maybe the parents should try apologizing, or maybe the parents should try asking for more information.
Therapy.
Right. Oh yeah. So many solutions. But see, that's the point of the book, right? So when you have
Sarah's book.
Yeah, that's the point of my book. Yes. When you have problem solving, Sarah, when you have something that major, okay, and I know the parents are very upset about it and they're crying. I don't know these parents. Like, maybe they're the best parents in the world and they're just like at a loss and they're blind in their emotions. We've all been there as parents or people, right? It's like, whoa, wish I'd done something differently. I was so upset. I was so sad. I was so overwhelmed. I didn't know what to do, right? That's literally the whole point of this book. And it's like, okay, what's the strategy? What problem are you trying to solve? Okay, I want to have a healthy relationship with my daughter and her knows that she's loved. Awesome. That's the magic question. What problem are you trying to solve? Okay, so the problem you're trying to solve is to have a healthy relationship with your daughter where she knows she's loved. Is that true? Yes. Okay, got it. What are you doing to try to solve that problem? I'm taking her to church in this biblical counselor, and they're giving her Bible verses about forgiving me so that we can have a healthy relationship. Okay, it's like, and this is the point where like our blood pressure can go like hit level 10, or we can go, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard of, or whatever. Okay, but if you say any of that, it doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't help the person. It doesn't, okay, it's like, so that's where I'm going, okay, how's that strategy working? There's no opinion, there's no judgment, there's no this is stupid, and I'm not making the decision for them. Okay, which people like look up, right? Well, you don't know what you're talking about, right? I'm asking questions, okay? How's the strategy going? Doesn't seem to be going that well, okay? What data is telling you it's not going that well? My daughter still doesn't talk to me. She says it's unfair. She's still not feeling heard. She's still not. So you see they're already seeing the problem in a different way. I haven't given any judgment. I haven't.
The child is not being heard.
I haven't said anything to shut them down. I haven't thrown in my opinion, as strong as my opinion may be, right? This is why this works in the business, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's like, what do you mean you told that girl that her shirt looked too tight today? Like, why would you say that's so stupid? Like, we can see these things and we're like, that was so stupid. Why did you do that? But we can't say that, right? So we need a mystery. What problem are you trying to solve? What are you doing to solve that problem? How's it going? What data is telling you? Okay, so it doesn't seem like the strategy that you're doing now is solving the problem that you want it to solve. Is that correct? Okay, and so all you're doing is connecting the dots for them. Okay, you didn't add words to it. It was all their words, so they're not offended. They're not shutting down. They're not saying you're judging me or whatever, right? Okay, well, it doesn't seem like that's working that well from what you're saying. Is that true? And you ask them for another buy-in, okay? And then they say, no, it's not working. Okay, well, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, hoping to get different results. Usually they'll giggle at that point, right? Because we all know that. It's just hard to do it, right? But it's just kind of like, yeah, I know. But you see how you diffused the situation?
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very upset, or they're working through maybe they were worried about getting fired, or they're, whatever the situation is using because you've not been judgmental, you've not said anything other than connecting dots for them with good questions. Yeah. And then you say, well, if we had to go into solution-based thinking, which is where I always want people, okay, if it's not working, try something else. What's the something else? And that's the beauty of the world we live in. We live in the information age. Our parents didn't. Okay, so it works. What would I say? Or that's stupid, or I can't believe you decided to choose that, or, well, the Bible says that is what you're supposed to do. So you just keep telling that girl, whatever it is, right? The whole goal is to get them into solution-based thinking, to get them into creative actions. Like, okay, what else can you try without them shutting down? And they go,
perfect.
Well, maybe I could try a different therapist. Maybe I could try a different conversation. Maybe I could try asking my daughter why she thinks it isn't working. And people can almost always solve their own problems once you get them to that stage. It's very easy. And they come up with really good ideas about their own life, which is what you want. You say, gosh, my cousin, I don't know why you chose that major. That's so stupid. No one should be a philosophy major, and you're never going to make any money. You're not going to be able to feed your children. You just got knocked up by the other philosophy major. Neither one of you can have any money, right? Like we can know that we agree with those decisions, but it does give the people in our lives ears willing to hear our opinions on it.
Wow.
And if we don't have ears willing to hear, we might as well just beat our head against the wall, personally or professionally.
Right. Exactly. A couple of things I was curious to know is you mentioned like prioritizing and all that, about break it down into small steps and that whole method. What do you do to get started to have a positive mindset in a catch-22 situation? If you don't know where to start, even like, okay, Sarah's telling me small steps done, but what do I do? What do I prioritize? What can I start with? Or what can anybody start with?
Chapter in the book. No, but I joke about the would you rather game. Yeah, there's a whole chapter dedicated to that. But the would you rather game. Would you rather have one giant-sized duck or 100 tiny ducks that run all over your house, right? Like, I mean, these silly questions, right? But then it's fun when it's like, well, would you rather pay for space camp or braces? right?
Oh.
I mean, some of these questions that it's like, or something really serious, like, would you rather move back in with your parents while your house is finishing being built, or buy an apartment and lose $20,000 in apartment fees to have a really expensive apartment for 6 weeks or something, but these are the would you rather questions that come up. Right. And definitely, I always go back to that magic question: what problem are you trying to solve? What's the most important problem you're trying to solve, right? And you can even ask, what problem am I trying to solve 7 times, like 7 levels deep, to get clear on the most important problem to solve. I had a friend recently trying to decide between 2 different private schools and public school. And this is the perfect scenario, because she kept like, but it's just not fair that public school isn't providing what I want for my kids. It's like, yeah, but it's a gravity problem. It's not, public school isn't changing. Like, it's not happening, right? So, right. What's the most important problem for you to try to solve? And she said, well, I don't want to spend so much money on private school that I can't, go on vacation and that kind of thing. I said, okay, that's your most important problem to solve. What's your second most important problem to solve? And then she went through that and then was able to make a decision. She ended up getting some financial aid, which is awesome. And like, she was able to do the private school thing, but just that clarity of her mind, it's like, okay, I know that I don't want to go into debt over private school. So if that's the only choice, I'm taking that off the table. And it just can really help you get yourself into those priorities. And then if something meets priority 1 and 2, it's probably the right decision, right? If it meets 1 and 3, that's the decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Yeah. Wow.
That is incredible. I'm going to start doing that. Where's my pen?
Cure for cancer. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. I mean, it killed me to put it out in the world, but I mean, it's great for you guys.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So I'll ask just one more. This is not so much book related, but this is something personal that happened to you. I just noticed one of your Instagram posts recently. How do you deal when you're embarking on an endeavor like writing a book or anything big in someone's life? How do you deal with those detractors, those trolls, who criticize something as insignificant as your lips, which not insignificant in that form. I don't mean that. I mean, of course, yes, perfect, no problems there. I'm just saying that's insignificant to be a troll about or to comment on. That's what I meant. So
yeah,
how do you deal with that?
What's being significant and what isn't, because I actually, within, they said your lips are runner up, and I'm like, do you know how little thought lips each day? Like, I could care less. But they also said, so your self-promotion is yucky, and there is no way to put a book out into the world without promoting it. Like, oh,
tell me about it. Yeah.
1,000 books, and they could hide in my house, and I could have a decision that could help change someone's life, or a structure to help change someone's life. It's like, sorry, I'm just humble. I'm so humble. I don't want to put myself on social media. I don't want to put myself out there. It's like, that's not humility. That's fear. Stop wrapping it up. Like, I don't like doing self-promotion either. I mean, I'm looking up, I'd call it.
They're just jealous, Sarah.
Yeah.
You have the most stunning lips. You have the most stunning lips.
Thank you. I don't think but I do keep my teeth in. And that's helpful.
I drink too much coffee. I'm like,
but the self-promotion thing is a little closer to home. I actually had a friend who I was really close to, and she's just really anti-social media, and we're not as close as we used to be, because she's like, every time I look on Facebook, I see your face, and I don't want to, because I don't think that's the right thing to do. And I was like, okay.
Wow.
That's what everybody says. They're like jealous, and I'm like, I'm never jealous of anything. So the idea that it
not
comes
you.
out to me, I'm like, why would you be jealous? Like, I'm like everyone's biggest supporter. I'm like, you got a raise, awesome. This good to you happen, awesome. Let me take you out to celebrate. Like, it doesn't occur to me to be jealous, so I don't think that's what's happening. But that's hurtful, right? And
it is. Yeah.
Like I'm thinking of like funny memes and this. Like, I mean, I wish I could just watch TV too, right? Like, that is more fun than having to figure out funny ways of like trying to keep attention on this process and do these teaching concepts. I did a Scarlett O'Hara, I'll think about it tomorrow thing today, right? It's not because today I thought, you know what I want to do? Look up Scarlett O'Hara quotes. Like, that is not what I want to do, right? But I believe in my process. I believe in this book's ability to help people. So I need to get over it. It doesn't matter if I don't promote. It doesn't matter if I don't want to put myself out there. I did a TV interview yesterday, got the time wrong, did it without any makeup on at all, just hopped on, no makeup, okay, and here we go. And that's just
what you were gorgeous.
Well, thank you. I was something, right? And my husband goes,
no, I'm telling you, I could, yeah.
But that's the process that you don't see, and it's like, sometimes it's cute to have Instagrams, and
you have to ignore them. You have to ignore them.
You got to shake it off. Yeah, and it really,
you have to.
Doesn't bother me. Yeah. But I think it's really interesting to kind of flip that, like, with the haters. It's like, okay, well, the profile picture is your cat. Okay, so your cat. Your cover photo is also generic. So you're either like a big hairy 90-year-old that's not even a real person, Anna, or you're completely afraid and shut down in your own life. And you will not be leaving the legacy I will leave my children and leave the world. Because I get past, this is stupid and I hate TikTok and I don't want to do it. No, I don't. But it doesn't matter if I want to do it or not. Do I want to make an impact in the world? Do I want to make the world a better place? And, is the universe sending me messages that I am responsible for putting out in the world? Yes. So who cares if I want to self-promote? Who cares, Anna, with the cat head? Yeah. Who cares? I'm doing it.
If you're going to be miserable, you have to switch. You have to change. Because there is so much joy in life. Wouldn't you rather be happy and joyful and giving? Kindness matters, right? Just buy Sarah's book.
Clarity matters. I'm going to add, since we're going back to the book promo, clarity matters. And that is where, clarity is the one self-care tip that I think we're really missing out on. Think about that spaghetti thinking versus waffle, or what problem you're really trying to solve. Are you doing the same thing over again, hoping to get different results? It's like, man, if you have that clarity in your life, it's confidence, it's self-trust, it's direction. It's like, okay, this is a problem I'm trying to solve. I may not like putting myself out there. My husband was like, Sarah, did you really put a reel of you putting lipstick on? And I was like, because I knew it would impact somebody. I knew it means, because he knows that I'm not sitting around the house like, ooh, let me put my lipstick. It's not me, right? And he's like, did you just do a reel of yourself with lipstick on? And I was like, yeah, because I knew it would mean something to someone. I knew it would create impact.
Yeah.
So whether or not I felt stupid doing it was irrelevant, because who cares? If I feel stupid, it doesn't matter, right? I want that clarity. The problem I'm trying to solve is making the world a better place. So if there's things that I have to do as part of that process that I don't like, who cares? I don't wrestle around for 5 hours. Am I going to do it? Am I not going to do it? Should I do this? Should I do that? Is someone going to like it? They can make. Who cares? Do it. The problem you're trying to solve, you've got clarity, that self-care, and that getting that wobble out of your head.
We didn't get the name of your book. We need to do
problem solved.
The name of your book.
Solve that problem by telling us the title, please.
I meant on Kindle, the 99 cents on Kindle. Your Instagram, your Twitter, your Facebook, whatever. Can you?
I'll do it. Yes. I've upgraded, elevated my personality. I don't know if it's an upgrade or we'll see, or it could be a crash and burn. We'll see what happens. A lot of my stuff in the past has been either toxic person proof. My podcast is still toxic person proof. And my new identity in developing problem solving and decision making, I knew I could help so many people, really anyone who I can only help people who want more time and less stress. So it's the only people I can help, and people who make decisions. So it's the only people I can help. You have to make decisions on more time. People, it's like, it's kind of everybody. I said, yeah, it is. And life can be easier on everyone. So my new Instagram is at Sarah K. Ramsey author. And you can check out sarahkramsey.com. I'm going to have merch, problem solved merch, and indecision is a decision, and some of these things, don't be a butt mouth is another concept. We may like big butts, but we don't like when people
give us butts when we're trying to come up with solutions, right? Butts block solutions. So, so check out that. And I'm also breaking down in the book, I'm breaking down, hundreds of people have sent me their problems, and I went through the spaghetti-waffle process, whether it be about changing jobs, healthcare decisions, putting family members in healthcare, dealing with boundary issues with in-laws. I mean, work-life balance, who's going to watch the kid on Thursday, partner balance, who does work in a relationship. Like there's only like 30 problems. Like when I started like breaking them down, it's like, oh, these are all within a theme, right? So I went ahead and spaghetti-waffled those out for you. Life does not have to be this hard. I'm doing everything I can to provide a template for making decisions that come from your internal space, not what I think you should do, but helping you think through the processes so you feel confident what you should do.